Do you
Sure.
remember where we last bumped into each other? There was music involved, and it wasn't planned.
Really?
And it wasn't planned.
It could have been, if I remember correctly, was it at Agora Hill somewhere?
Yeah, there you go.
But I don't remember the concert or anything. What is who was it?
Boogie Nights, my friend.
Not. Yeah, that's right. You were with your family, I think. Your
That's
wife and
right.
maybe one of your kids or something.
Yeah, both my girls. Yeah, my
That's
daughter
cool.
was home from school, and she's like, "I want to go dancing." I'm like, "All right." My wife loves Boogie Nights. So.
That's cool. Yep. That's awesome, man. Good memory.
Yeah,
Jeez.
yeah.
Yeah, I had forgotten about that actually. I thought it was going to be something like because I remember visiting you once, and then I remember when you moved locations from the one on
Sonicoid, North West
Nautica.
Hills. Yeah,
Yep. And then I saw you move to the other one closer where the Remax
right.
used to be, and now it's you guys, I
Yep,
think.
yep.
So
Exactly right.
very
Yeah,
cool, man.
but it's been a while, so lots to catch up. How's life treating you?
Yeah, doing great. Still doing the consulting thing. I branched out of the real estate industry about 5 years ago.
I saw
Um,
that.
approximately 4 years outside of the industry, but like I've still always had real estate clients that
Sure.
I've maintained throughout. So my first year when I left corporate, I went to do this on my own and just had a bunch of real estate clients that was kind of from before. And so I worked with them for about a year or two, and then got into other industries like manufacturing. I got a manufacturing client, and pretty decent size, like $10 million companies and stuff like that, which was really cool,
Nice.
helping them with their operations and the sales and the marketing side. And yeah, and then I went to a medical industry. Last year, I worked for 3 months for a medical client out in Las Vegas, which was really cool. But today's really all about you, my friend. You've run a pretty successful operations, like 30 plus years now, right?
Yeah, 31 going on 32. I mean, wow. Where did the time go?
I know, man. That's
It's
crazy. And you and I met probably like halfway through your tenure
halfway
there,
through
maybe.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
absolutely.
crazy.
And the funny thing is, just like any industry and
Mhm.
company, I've had countless agents, come and go through our doors, right? Just like corporate had, different representatives from time to time, but you were always the one that left the lasting impression. It, it was always work driven, and it always felt like kind of seeing the principal sometimes, because
Good.
hey, we're here to report, but it was always
Yeah.
fun, and I always, appreciated that from you. And I'm sure you're carrying that on, with your other clients. That's just your
Yep.
character, so that was always nice.
I appreciate that, my friend. I
Yeah,
appreciate that. I appreciate our work together as well in the past, and just you being here for this conversation now because time flies when you're having fun, and we've been having a lot of fun. So,
we
so
always like to say we're living the dream. Yeah, I don't know which dream it is, but it's a
what
dream.
part of the nightmare it is?
Right. What phase of it, right?
Yeah.
But no, life is great. No complaints. We're all getting older, wiser, different phases in life, different
Mhm.
ambitions. One of the beauties of doing anything for 30
Mhm.
plus years is you learn a thing or two, right?
Yeah,
Uh, and I've gotten to that point where um, I get to dictate, how my week looks like.
I love that. I absolutely
So
love that.
it's really now come down to appreciating, every moment, every opportunity, every client, every agent conversation, instead of just trying to cram so much on my plate or on my desk. Obviously, I wasn't giving 100% to every conversation I had, and they deserve that. So now,
Hmm.
in this, like I said, stage phase in my life, it's really being hyper focused on every single opportunity, and not too many opportunities keep coming through. Like the old golden days. You got to know what you're doing to make it
Mhm.
through. So
So true.
I'm grateful.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it kind of leads me to a bunch of other questions I have in regards to the real estate industry right now, because it's been last week I was with someone who was in the more of the probate space, and he had some really great insights about that particular, that's his niche, and
Yeah,
he
yeah.
built his whole business around that. he also managed a real estate company like yours. And but anyway, he ended up branching out pretty good. Do you have a particular niche that you've been focused on recently, or since we last talked?
You know what? Yes, and really, it's come, to fruition
Hmm.
based off of the challenges that we've had, primarily affordability.
Hmm.
So I've really have focused on the fixer relationship with investors.
Nice.
That type of product um, doesn't rest. I mean, there's always buyers, there's always opportunities, um, versus, the affordability situation with most move up buyers, rate driven, is very challenging and very difficult. And it's different from, when we first met, where there was a lot of situations where a single income couple could
Mhm.
qualify to purchase, and now that doesn't exist.
Yeah,
So where I found, where I'm just extremely busy, is looking for those opportunities where people are either having to sell or
hmm
just wanting to turn the page in their book of life into the next chapter, cut their losses, and not deal with a long-winded escrow, inspections, banks, appraisal, contingencies, and just sell to one of my many investors that can close in 7, 10 days. You're not
that's
getting,
amazing.
yeah, and you're not getting 100% return on your money, but you're getting 75, 85%. And
Brilliant.
not for everyone, but there's always, ones that need that situation. So
That's true. And I remember you had multiple businesses, and I know your brother ran a mortgage finance bank,
mortgage, yep,
if I'm not mistaken,
yep,
right? And escrow, if I'm not mistaken as well.
correct, yeah, still
Very
have that.
cool.
Yeah. So
Nice.
the nice thing is that 90% of one transaction, stays under one roof. Um,
Brilliant.
Not only does that help revenue stream, right, but it also gives the client what they need in such a challenging, limited with time situation, where they can come to one office and knock out, like I said, 90% of the real estate transaction under one roof. So it's very convenient for our clients, which is
That's amazing. And are you still in the same location there on Fallbrook?
correct. Yeah. So just south of Van Owen and the
Nice. Okay,
executive
yeah.
buildings. Yeah.
I literally was there like a few weeks back because I'm living in
Oh,
Santa
nice.
Barbara now, but I drove through and I saw that's what prompted this conversation actually.
And what's nice is, when we first met, I was operating 60, 70, 80 agents. We had a bigger footprint office. It was, at that point, if I remember correctly, I was taking in like 60% new licensees. So we had a school, we had training, we had, that environment where, we would take these newbies and go through the whole process. Um, and the reality is, within 6 months, 8 months, a good portion of them end up realizing this is not as easy as I thought it was going to be. And
Yeah.
they quit, right? They go back to
Yep.
what they were doing. The one who ends up getting hurt there is the broker like myself, who spent the time, cultivated, that
Mhm.
relationship. Uh, Long story short, always had this vision of just being in an environment where I focused more on the 5 to 7 transactions a year, 10 to 12 transactions a year. The agents that, need a little bit, maybe one hand held versus both. And more of an admin type office where they come and go. They only come see me when they want to pick up checks, or they have a problem, of course, which that's
Yeah.
very rare, or they want to bounce a creative idea off of me, or they come meet with our admin, our staff, and they have access to come 24/7. So it's kind of like a landlord tenant relationship, if you will. It's
That,
kind of
I
nice.
don't know. That's good. That's in a good way, right? Hopefully.
Yeah, in a good way. Yeah, yeah. Don't bother me unless it's serious. So, and that's allowed me to focus more on me and what I want to do. versus what I have to do. So it's a nice,
That's a beautiful space to be in.
yeah, yeah. And
Beautiful.
what's interesting is, that all came to fruition just before COVID hit.
Hmm.
So it was like perfect timing without even realizing, because, at that point, everything was upside down. But
Mhm.
now, of course, I see more offices moving in that direction or have moved in that direction, more of a hub. Uh,
Mhm. It is, yeah. Being able to choose your clients is something that wasn't one of the main reasons I went on independent as well, is because clients, and I knew enough back then to be able to branch out on my own to offer enough value, not just to the real estate industry, but to industries across different areas. And so it's been a lot more dynamic and interesting for me in my day-to-day activities as well. So I definitely appreciate that. And it's
that's
really
beautiful.
cool to be able to see you take the benefit as well, to be able to choose and give extraordinary focus on the details that really matter in moving the needle with your clients, your investors, and stuff like that, which is awesome. Another thing that prompted my conversation with you is I noticed that you're following Jensen Wang as well. And
Yeah.
when I saw you were following him as well, I was like, I got to talk to Anthony to see what he's doing on the AI side, because
Yeah.
I mean, I live and breathe integrating technology my entire career, and you've always been super sharp guy. So like, I'm curious, like, whatever you're willing to share on how you're implementing the tech in your business, we're all ears.
Wow. So, it's interesting. I was actually having a conversation a few days ago with one of my peers, and I raised a question: Is AI making us dumb or lazy, or are we like, really taking advantage of what AI has to offer? And I brought that up because I'm using AI in almost everything. I mean, in every aspect. I mean, I noticed lately that from the beginning stage of taking on a client
Hmm.
through the closing, whether it's running my CMA, my analysis through AI to make sure that I didn't miss anything, to do a deep search dive, make sure that I'm not missing any comps, looking at numbers, days on market, bouncing off my averages versus the broader picture, the property remarks, to dishing out 3 blogs a day, creating titles in advance, and just saying, okay, it's number 5 now,
Mm.
and just really just automating everything that I can. And the beauty of it, there's so much more that I don't even know, that I'm clearly missing out on, that, almost every other day I have an aha moment like, wow, I just learned something new. And it's
Yeah,
just amazing. I'm definitely a fan.
good.
I know some people are leery and questionable on it, but I love it. I mean, absolutely, I love it.
Good. Yeah, and those are a lot of applications you mentioned. Staying updated with the blog posting and all that other stuff, and running through the numbers. And is there a particular model that you're using, or using a variety of different
A
models?
variety. I mean, Chat, Grok, are my 2 favorites.
Okay.
And that's just because, I've gotten comfortable with them. I think,
Mhm.
one of the important aspects of any type of AI model is, giving it the fair amount of time to learn, and have it learn you,
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
flip side, right?
Mhm.
And as you know, being a broker owner operator, I wear enough hats where I do have limited time, but the free time that I have, I see myself constantly going to those two. Chat is just very convenient because it's just an application that's readily available and just so user friendly.
Yeah.
Grok for the deep dive searches, I love. Um, but yeah, those are the 2 ones that I particularly use.
Cool. Very cool. Yeah, those are great platforms. I haven't tinkered around with Grok as much as I would like to, even though I'm on X all the time. I use a variety of different models as well, but I was curious to see how you're applying it. It seems like you're using it in a really dynamic way based on what I'm hearing. So are you deploying it for any of your agents or anything like that, or is it just internal? Like, do you still have office meetings?
Yeah, so yes and no, or I should say no and yes.
Okay,
With C21, we have all these tools that agents have at their disposal. The reality is there's a small margin that take advantage of what we share and what we have to offer.
hmm
So, of course, on our meetings, we definitely remind them of what our tools and resources that are available to them. I always provide a weekly pop by uh, versus whether it's you know in a Zoom or in the office where we
that's
can
cool.
brainstorm, yeah, and go over ideas. But these guys are independent contractors. There's a handful that really treat the business like the way they should, which is a
hmm
business, and allow themselves to be coachable and trainable. So all we can do is provide the tools and resources, and let them go at it.
Very cool, very cool. How big is the office now?
So right now we have 23 agents. So definitely, more of a controllable space. And from those 23, 80% of those, maybe a little bit more, are veteran agents that have seasoned book of business. Uh,
Great,
yeah, and
great.
definitely can hold their own. I still find myself every once in a while bringing in a newbie and what one, two, three, where I can take under my wing. But for the
That's
most
cool.
part, yeah, the most part, they're all veteran agents.
I was curious about that because I know that there's different size uh, brokerages out there and teams out there is also something that's come up a lot since I first started in the business. Teams versus brokers versus individual agents. And you've been a broker team leader for this entire time since I've known you.
Right.
Back when we first started, it was like 60 agents. A lot of them were newbies. I remember doing some work on your real estate school because of the success I had in my real estate school
Yeah.
before I even worked at
Yeah.
corporate.
That's right. Yeah.
Which was kind of cool. But it's are you still running the school or not at all?
No, 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 not at all. Yeah, not at all. So, that's one of the requirements to come work here is that, you do not need, um, ground up work training. If you're looking for a classroom environment, this is not the place at all.
Hmm
This is for someone that, wants a higher split and deserves that higher split
Yep.
versus, someone that's just in the business and my uncle wants to buy a house and I want a higher split because another office is offering it. Well, then,
Yeah.
congratulations, you just got hired at that other office. So, and that's the beauty of our industry. And I'm sure you'll agree is that, it's not one size fits all. There's so many different models and there's so many different opportunities and there's so many other great offices out there that you'll find what you're looking for. Going back to, what you just said a minute ago, teams.
Mhm.
I never got into that. I was never interested in that, even though indirectly I was kind of running a team, but I was running it in the old traditional way
Yeah.
where
As a
I was the
broker.
broker,
Hmm
and I was teaching and holding people accountable and allowing them to, earn a living and do what they do best.
hmm
Um, so I give, all the credit to these team groups that, last and work and uh, minimize the conflict of the sharing the pool and um, not feeling like one's doing more work than the other and
hmm
this one's carrying the weight, this one's not type of situation. Oh man, I'm too old for that. Too old for that.
Yeah. Very cool. So I know you run your own the Real Estate Insights. That's your blog, or are you doing a podcast as well, or is it just
Yeah. So, well,
your
now you just jogged my memory. So, I was using Notebook LM
Mhm.
to create um, podcasts. So there's another AI tool aspect,
Yep.
right?
It's a great one too, by the way. I love that one.
Yeah, I love it. But again, there's only so much time in a day, so that's kind of taken the back seat right now.
Okay.
When business gets a little bit more challenging, I put things in a priority list, and that one's on the lower end. It's more fun for me, then
Got it.
yeah, I just
Yep.
think it's such a great tool. It's such a cool tool. But yeah, that was that. Just some insights of what's going on locally. And then when I get bored of the same, local stuff, I'll expand it a little.
That's cool. Yeah, no, it was super cool to see. That's why I was like, I brought it up.
When
And
I
so,
learned that one, I'm like, oh, no way. I mean, I can get these guys talking about me and, all the data thanks to, Anthony. I'm like, oh, this is wonderful. And what's interesting is nobody ever figured it out. Everybody thought, those are two real people, have had doing a podcast. When I, shared the secret, they're like, unbelievable.
yeah,
It's
it's pretty
scary.
amazing. Yeah, pretty amazing
Yeah.
technology. Yeah, I
Yeah.
use it almost every day. The possibilities are so like mind-boggling.
Isn't it?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, but it's also mind-boggling with how much work it is to just stay on top of the tool. I used to tell people in my real estate school that if they're not overwhelmed by the work that they have to do as agents, you're not paying attention. And
Oh
now
yeah.
it's like 10x that based on our professions and just being entrepreneurs and running businesses. It's like it's a lot. And so, kudos to you for getting it out there and for actually launching something because it's in addition to everything else.
Right,
So,
right. And the interesting thing is that I often wonder how much more is there, and I know it's a lot, but there's only so much one guy could do. Um, but hey, that's where you come in, right? You're the one who helps us navigate through all those choppy waters.
I'm super curious, like, how do you deal with burnout and how do you deal with agents that are burning out? I'm curious as how you personally like deal with like the amount of workload that you have managing the different companies and all the agents you have, the
You know,
overwhelm.
uh, I don't know if this is the right answer, but it's the right answer for me. I love what I do. You know, I think if the moment ever does come that I do feel that burnout, it's because I've lost the love and the desire of what I do. I think when that happens, those two will be equal at that point.
Got
Uh,
it.
and again, like I said, I don't know if that's the right answer, Hector. I mean but that's always because trust me, an industry that deals with as much rejection as we do, I mean, come on, you can get easily burnt out. I mean, the only
Yeah.
other industry I could compare it to is acting. You know,
Really?
well, you go on audition over and over and over again. You get
Yeah.
rejected, rejected,
Yeah.
rejected. You got to get up the next day and do it all over again. I mean,
Interesting.
prospecting, networking. I mean, we get rejected all the time. We're always asking for business. You want to sell a house? You want to buy a house? You want to sell a house? You want to buy a house? No, 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 no. Eventually,
Yeah.
someone's going to say yes.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it's easy to get burnt out on the rejection. But then on the flip side, if you're killing it, it's easy to get burnt out on being overwhelmed with so much business. A lot of people get driven, because of the financial rewards, which
Mhm.
again, I mean, let's call it what it is. I mean, not too many industries out there that you can go take a real estate course, get licensed, and have the
Mhm.
ability to generate, some serious money, right?
That's true.
It's wonderful opportunity. But for me, and I tell this to my agents that I've had, honestly, just a handful of
Mhm.
conversations with, because I haven't really had to deal with too many of that scenario. But if you're not passionate, if you've lost the love, then get out, take some time away, whatever that looks like, a week, a month, 6 months. That's the nice thing. You're an independent contractor. It's very
Yeah.
hard to get fired by a broker.
So true.
So they have that opportunity to do that and just find the passion and love back into what you do. And that's what drives me.
I
This
love that.
industry I give a lot to because it's opened up so many doors, windows, any, way you want to look at it. It's given me a lot. So I love it. Still love it.
Beautiful. Beautifully said. It's so true, the love you have for the work is what makes it able to sustain itself, right?
Absolutely.
And it's not, it doesn't feel like work because we're doing what we love. So it's
Yeah. And,
super cool. And I've always felt that from you, man. When I've seen you at the office with your team there, it was always super cool and always a pleasure working with you.
I
So,
appreciate that.
let's just say somebody's listening to this who's like, they're locked in their hustle. They're in hustle mode. And instead of the systems mode, right? There's the hustle mode where they get really tired a lot, maybe, or they're just overworking, maybe. You alluded to it in your previous answer, but I'm just curious, like, what you would say to them. Take 6 months off, take a year off, whatever. Independent contractors can do that. Is there anything else that comes to mind as what they could do tomorrow or later today after they've done listening to this, or immediately on maybe implementing a system or two that'll help them alleviate some of that, you know, frustration or stress they might be feeling?
You know, the one thing that does come to mind that I kind of regret not doing sooner
Mm-hmm.
uh, is making sure that you spend the time uh, to create a open and closing and follow-up system with your client. Uh, I've been blessed after doing this for as long as I have that majority of my business is repeat referral. Um, and it's a good portion. It's the major portion of my income, of my production. Um, if I would have treated that seriously, and every client that I nurtured and spent the time to prospect and you know put into a transaction,
Mm-hmm.
um, with a follow-up system to keep touching them and reminding them of who I am, who I was to them, how important I was to them, how important they were to me during
Mm-hmm.
that 30, 60, 90 day period that we were speaking with each other every day or every other day.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think that would have been a game changer much more earlier on in my career. So if I could tell myself, then what I know now, I think that would be the biggest takeaway, because uh, one of the things that I see that most agents do, myself included in my earlier years, is we're chasing our tail. We're working hard to get that lead, to turn that lead into a client, to get that client into transaction, close that transaction, get paid. And then instead of continuing that relationship, we go right back to step number one, you know,
Yeah.
finding that lead, turning that lead into a client, and then we forget about, and then we get bothered when we find out that they listed with somebody else, or they bought with somebody else,
Yeah.
but who's to blame there? It's us.
That's right. Yep.
So I think that's probably the biggest growth lesson, that, and then definitely having a sphere of influence that makes a lot of money. That helps. You definitely
That's
want to
a
have,
key distinction there.
yeah, you definitely want to have some well-to-do friends, not some broke friends.
Yep. Yep. No, you've been very fortunate too, working with athletes and
Yeah,
being in
yeah,
LA and doing all,
yeah. So
you're
that
like,
helps.
yeah,
But
100%.
yeah, I think that's the biggest take.
Beautiful, beautifully said, and appreciate you being here. Where can our audience find you?
Yeah. So at C21 Anthony, is my handle on pretty
Okay.
much everything.
All right.
My website, c21anthony.com. So number 818-266-1100, and office base 6700 Fallbrook Avenue in West Hill, Suite 267. Um,
Love it, man. Well, appreciate you being here. Appreciate your time. I work on three different layers, like this: sales, operations, and the marketing. So those three layers is where, but it all depends on what you're trying to do. That's
Beautiful.
kind of
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, we'll definitely be catching up, my friend. I love it. And I
beautiful.
appreciate
Appreciate you,
it.
my friend.
Yeah. Yeah. All the best, buddy.
Take care, Anthony. Talk soon.
You got it. Likewise.